California's statewide home price figures still look reassuring on the surface. Coastal cities continue grabbing headlines, and from a bird's-eye view, the market appears stable. But dig beneath those headline numbers, and a starkly different reality emerges. Zillow and Redfin have been documenting the shift for more than a year, and what they're finding is hard to ignore across suburb after suburb, particularly those that exploded during the pandemic years. Home values have been steadily eroding. Some are down by single-digit percentages, others by double digits. None of it is coincidental. Every city on this list was built on the same three pillars: reliable employment, manageable commutes, and a steady stream of buyers with purchasing power. In the past year, all three have cracked simultaneously. We ranked 12 of the hardest-hit suburbs, and some of the findings were genuinely unexpected. These aren't the places dominating news cycles. They're the communities people fled to when major coastal cities price them out, and now they're the ones bleeding value the fastest. Number 12, Murrieta. Murrieta occupies the middle of Riverside County, sitting squarely within the Inland Empire corridor that saw explosive growth during the pandemic as buyers priced out San Diego and Orange County began searching for homes they could realistically afford. The formula held for years. New subdivisions filled quickly, and Murrieta became a primary destination for families seeking square footage they simply couldn't find anywhere closer to the coast. That momentum has since stalled. Zillow places a typical home value down nearly 5% over the past year, making it the mildest decline among all 12 cities on this list, though homes are now sitting on the market considerably longer than they once did, a clear signal that buyer urgency has faded. Beyond prices, the city's crime landscape has shifted as well, with violent incidents climbing more than 10% in the past year, and the trend showing no signs of reversing. Murrieta still carries one of the more accessible price tags in Southern California, which is precisely what drew families here originally. But affordability alone doesn't insulate a market from broader pressures. It's the smallest red flag on this list, but it's still a red flag. Number 11, Livermore. East of Pleasanton, Livermore built its identity on a distinctive combination of wine country character, highly rated public schools, and convenient access to the Bay Area's job centers. When pandemic-era buyers began hunting for more living space without abandoning their commute entirely, Livermore absorbed a significant portion of that demand. New construction could barely keep pace. That momentum has since dissolved. Zillow's data shows a typical home value down roughly 5% over the past year. Modest in isolation, but the broader context tells a more troubling story. Three employers departed around the same time. DHL scaled back its supply chain operation, Monarch Tractor shuttered its corporate office entirely, and a local equipment supplier closed permanently. Violent crime has been climbing for 4 consecutive years. Livermore schools still rank among the East Bay's finest, and that reputation continues drawing families through the door. But exceptional schools can't compensate for a shrinking employment base. If you've ever wanted to understand how a housing market quietly loses its footing, not through one catastrophic blow, but through a series of smaller ones arriving in close succession, Livermore is that case study. Number 10, Belmont. Belmont occupies a privileged position on the San Francisco Peninsula, nestled between Silicon Valley wealth and the consistently top-ranked public schools of San Mateo County. It is the most expensive city on this entire list, and for years its price trajectory moved in only one direction. Redfin's data now shows a median sale price down 7% over the past year, but the most significant damage is concentrated at the market's upper end. Belmont's top-tier homes, the most expensive 10%, have lost nearly 40% of their value, with certain luxury listings shedding as much as $860,000 in a single year. Nearly a quarter of all active Belmont listings have taken price reductions, a figure that has risen sharply over the past 12 months. The city remains one of the more competitive small markets on the peninsula, which is why buyers continue showing up for entry-level properties. But purchasing a starter home and committing to a multi-million-dollar estate are entirely different calculations right now, and far fewer buyers are willing to make the latter one. Number 9, Manteca. Manteca was built almost entirely on a single premise. That Bay Area families would accept a longer drive in exchange for a home they could actually afford. For years, that proposition delivered. Buyers arrived from Stockton and well beyond, drawn by larger lots and lower prices along the I-205 corridor. Today, Manteca is the slowest moving market in all of San Joaquin County. Redfin puts the median sale price down 8.5% year over year. But the more telling statistic is days on market, which have nearly doubled, climbing from 42 days to 69. Homes are sitting unsold for over 2 months. Part of the issue is geographic. Manteca's commute runs longer than nearby Tracy's, and the pipeline of Stockton buyers trading up into Manteca has nearly dried up. Theft cases have jumped 35% over the same period. One bright spot does exist. The Del Webb Woodbridge retirement community has held its value while the rest of the city softens. But when an entire county's most sluggish market can no longer lean on its most affordable neighboring draw, that pressure has to transfer somewhere. Number 8, Dublin. For more than a decade, Dublin represented a near-perfect convergence of factors: brand new construction, direct BART access, and placement within one of Alameda County's strongest school districts. New homes sold almost as quickly as they could be built, and Dublin routinely ranked among California's fastest-growing cities. That growth story has inverted. Zillow tracks the citywide median sale price down 7.8% over the past year, with single-family homes declining even faster at more than 12%. Sales volume has contracted by nearly 1/5, while available inventory has surged by 2/3 compared to a year ago. More than half of all Dublin listings have been reduced in price, and homes selling below asking price now outnumber those selling above it. Property crime has climbed sharply, rising nearly 46% over the same window. Dublin still holds a genuine geographic advantage. Its position at the intersection of 2 major freeways gives a commute profile that few east-based suburbs can rival. But freeway access can't fully counteract a market where supply keeps building and buyer demand keeps retreating. When a city synonymous with growth starts posting numbers like these, it demands a serious look at what has fundamentally shifted. Number 7, Tracy. For Bay Area workers priced out of every option close to the core, Tracy offered a trade that once made mathematical sense. Cross the Altamont Pass, and suddenly your paycheck stretches meaningfully further into a house with a proper yard. That logic pulled thousands of commuters eastward for over a decade, and Tracy expanded right alongside them. Jozio's data shows a median sale price down nearly 11% over the past year, one of the steeper declines on this list. Inventory has surged 44% in a single year, dramatically shifting negotiating leverage toward buyers. That shift shows up directly in the gap between ask and close. Active listings are priced around $759,000, but homes are actually closing near $675,000. External pressure is compounding the problem. Michaels, the national craft retail chain, permanently closed its Tracy distribution center, eliminating hundreds of local jobs in a single announcement. Violent crime has risen more than 9%, and Tracy's overall safety ranking has slipped to one of the weaker positions on this list. Tracy remains one of the more affordable waypoints on the Bay Area commuter map, and that affordability continues attracting new arrivals. But a market can only sustain itself on value and optimism for so long. When a distribution center closes and hundreds of paychecks evaporate overnight, the mortgages tied to those paychecks don't simply go unaffected. Number 6, Pleasanton. Positioned in Alameda County at the core of the Tri-Valley region, Pleasanton long carried a reputation that felt bulletproof. Workday's corporate headquarters anchored the city's identity, drawing executives in dual-income tech households who were willing to pay a meaningful premium just for the address. Redfin now shows a median sale price down 11.3% year over year, with sales volume contracting close to 17%. The pain is sharpest in the condo and townhome segment. Units that once moved in 2 to 3 weeks at the market's peak are now sitting for nearly 2 months before attracting a buyer. The deeper wound is self-inflicted. Workday cut more than 150 positions at its own headquarters, while 10x Genomics trimmed dozens of additional jobs around the same time. When the companies that built your city's reputation begin laying off the very people who would purchase homes within it, the market's direction becomes predictable. One notable exception exists: Ruby Hill, Pleasanton's luxury enclave, continues appreciating at double-digit rates even as the broader city softens. That divergence says everything about who still possesses room to spend and who no longer does. Number 5, San Ramon. Contra Costa County, San Ramon spent decades defined by a single corporate anchor, Chevron's national headquarters. That presence filled entire neighborhoods with employees who could support some of the East Bay's highest home prices and gave the city an economic identity that felt durable. What happens to a housing market when that anchor permanently departs is now playing out in real time. Redfin's current data shows the median sale price down 11.8% over the past year, one of the more pronounced drops on this entire list. The cause is straightforward. Chevron relocated its headquarters out of San Ramon completely, eliminating 600 jobs in the process. When a company that defined a city's entire economic personality packs up, the homes priced around its payroll don't hold their value. Sales have declined even more sharply than prices, falling nearly 22% year over year, and more homes are now closing below asking price than above it. San Ramon still benefits from its position at the convergence of two major freeways, a locational advantage that no corporate departure can erase. But a convenient on-ramp is not a substitute for a headquarters. The paychecks left with the company and the houses are simply the last part of the equation to fully absorb the news. Number 4, Brentwood. Eastern Contra Costa County's Brentwood transformed from a quiet agricultural community into one of the Bay Area's most celebrated pandemic boomtowns. New subdivisions materialized at a pace that seemed unsustainable, attracting families chasing more space at prices that still felt reachable relative to closer alternatives. For a stretch, the growth appeared limitless. According to Cash for Houses, the median sale price has now dropped 12.6% over the past year, falling from $835,000 to $730,000 in just 12 months. Sellers who would have fielded multiple offers 18 months ago are now negotiating aggressively just to generate a single bid. More than 235 homes are currently sitting unsold, and over a quarter of all listings have absorbed price reductions, some by tens of thousands of dollars. Even Deer Ridge, the city's upscale golf course community, has slowed considerably, with homes are now taking close to 3 months to sell. The outbound migration numbers add another dimension. In a single quarter, more than 5,400 residents left Brentwood specifically for Sacramento, one of the largest voluntary departures of any city on this list. Brentwood still offers a small-town character that's genuinely difficult to find within the broader Bay Area, and buyers who prioritize space over speed continue considering it. But a city where a quarter of all listings are simultaneously being marked down isn't experiencing a slow season. It's experiencing a market that is losing its structural footing. Number 3, Milpitas. Santa Clara County's Milpitas benefited from two powerful forces arriving simultaneously: a new BART extension connecting it to the broader regional transit network, and a steady flow of tech workers priced out of San Jose looking for an accessible alternative. For several years, that combination made Milpitas one of the Bay Area's fastest-growing entry points into Silicon Valley. Realtor.com places the median sale price down 13.69% over the past year, one of the sharpest single-year contractions on this entire list. The employment picture explains much of it. Cisco cut jobs from its Milpitas office twice within a 12-month span, first eliminating over 150 positions, then folding the office into a second, broader round of layoffs that affected hundreds more across the Bay Area. When the same company can cut the same location twice in a single year, the housing market surrounding that office registers every wave. Even monthly reports that describe June as a relatively strong period for closed sales quietly embedded annual valuation figures, showing citywide estimated home values down more than 10%. A separate crime analysis found violent incidents climbing sharply year over year. Milpitas still sits closer to major tech campuses than almost anywhere else at comparable price points, which sustains a baseline of buyer interest. But proximity to employment is only valuable when that employment persists, and 2 rounds of layoffs from the same employer in 1 year is not misfortune. It is a pattern, and the housing data is simply catching up. Number 2, Elk Grove. Sacramento County's Elk Grove represents one of the Central Valley's most expansive suburban build-outs of the past 2 decades. Families priced out of Sacramento proper kept moving south, drawn by larger parcels and fresher construction, and Elk Grove accommodated them by barely pausing its growth. Property Shark's data now shows a median sale price down 13.7% over the past year, a decline that has unfolded across 4 consecutive quarters without interruption. If you're waiting for prices here to find a floor, The current trajectory suggests that floor hasn't appeared yet. The more alarming signal isn't even a price decline. It's a collapse in transaction volume, which dropped by more than one-third year over year. This isn't a market where buyers are pushing back harder on price. It's a market where a substantial portion of buyers have simply stopped participating. Safety concerns may be contributing to that withdrawal. The city's homicide count nearly doubled within the same year, an unusually sharp escalation for a community of Elk Grove scale. The city has also ceded its position atop Sacramento County's median price rankings to both Folsom and Fair Oaks, a ranking it hadn't surrendered in years. Homes are still selling here every month, just far fewer of them than 12 months ago. For consecutive quarters of price losses combined with a third of your buyer pool disappearing doesn't resemble a temporary pause. It resembles a city that has not yet found the bottom. Number 1, Sunnyvale. At the geographic and economic heart of Silicon Valley, Sunnyvale spent decades as one of the country's most reliably expensive and fiercely competitive housing markets. LinkedIn's corporate headquarters anchored the city's identity, and dual-income tech households made it normal for a modest starter home to carry a price tag well above $1 million. The reversal now underway is striking by any measure. Redfin places a median sale price down nearly 19% over the past year, with some data sources tracking the decline closer to 24%. If you ever wonder what it looks like when Silicon Valley's own engine begins running in reverse, Sunnyvale is that answer in real time. LinkedIn cut more than 500 positions at its headquarters. Meta laid off 3,000 workers across the broader region, with Sunnyvale absorbing a meaningful share of those cuts. Walmart eliminated 306 jobs at its Sunnyvale Tech campus alone. Oracle and Cisco both trimmed staff within the same time frame. Homes are taking longer to sell than they were even a few months ago, and local reporting has documented a sustained rise in crime over several years. Properties are still transacting, just not at the velocity or the valuations sellers spent years treating as a baseline. That is precisely the point this entire list makes. Every city covered here ascended on the same species of momentum: tech wealth, corporate expansion, and a perpetual supply of buyers chasing a paycheck. Sunnyvale simply demonstrates what happens when that momentum exhausts itself at its very origin. 12 cities, one underlying pattern. Every suburb on this list grew by borrowing against something: a commute someone no longer makes, a company that used to be hiring, a wave of buyers who could always arrive from somewhere else. When borrowed momentum runs out, prices are simply the last number to acknowledge the reality. None of these are collapsing communities. People live, well, in every single one of them. But if you're watching this and wondering whether your own city could appear on a list like this next year, the question asked is simpler than it might seem. Look carefully at who is actually servicing the mortgages, and ask yourself honestly what happens to your market if their income disappears.